Bladed or squared? Which boxing stance is best for which situation? Which one should you use and when should you use it? In this video, I'm going to drop you some real good knowledge bombs, and it will help you nail the perfect stance for you, and it will make you versatile, and that's a key benefit for any fighter. Okay, before we get going, go download your book, The Beginner Boxer Toolkit. 68 pages packed full of insights and information. It will help you get fitter, it will help you get stronger, it will help you be a better fighter. 10 home gym essentials, nail down the 10 basic skills, how to lay out your training regime, the 5 building blocks of power, 4 steps to lightning speed, 7 shadow boxing tips to get the most out of your shadow boxing session, and 5 rules to hit the heavy bag bag. There's loads in there, you're going to really enjoy it. There's a link in the description and there will be a link at the end. Let's get straight on. The bladed stance, let's cover that first. This is the default, this is the standard, for me anyway. Vast majority of coaches that I know and that I work with will teach you the bladed stance. So let's get a little tip. I'm just going to demonstrate everything in orthodox. For southpaw, just switch it round. The stances, all fine. The only difference between southpaw and orthodox when it comes to actual fighting is how you apply tactics, okay? So, step back, comfortable step back, the width, nice. If you were walking, just take a step, and that's the width of the feet should be. Front foot, always at 45 degrees. Back foot, it can vary. Some people have it like that, some will have it pointed forward. I've even seen some pointing it back. I'm more relaxed on the back foot. Front foot has to stay at 45 degrees. Line on the floor goes from the toe on the front foot to the heel on the back foot. Shoulders are aligned roughly towards the threat. Hands up, chin down. And that's the stance. Now we want to be on the balls of the feet. Always up, heel up on the rear foot. Front foot as well, but the front foot can go flat. I'm a bit more relaxed about that, but if you want mobility, stay on the balls of the feet. Let's talk about weight distribution. In a bladed stance, you can have your body weight on the rear foot. That's the majority of you box. When you see boxers, when you have a look at the way this weight is distributed, most of the time you'll find it's on the rear leg. That's why when you're in a boxing stance, your calf really suffers, your back calf. So you're on that there. That's a more defensive posture. You can have your body weight central. Okay, again, a little bit more defensive, or you can have your body weight slightly forward. You never want your nose to go past the line of your knee, okay? But you can have your body weight slightly forward. Watch Floyd Mayweather. He used that a lot, body weight on the front leg. He was quite an offensive fighter. You might not think so. A lot of people like to think that, oh, he was a runner. Floyd Mayweather used to run all the time. He didn't. Okay, he put pressure on people, so he'd be there on the front leg, he'd trigger them, lay back, bang, and let his shots go, okay? So, think about your weight distribution. Try it out. Try round on the rear foot, bring it central, every now and again drop it on the front foot and see what you think, okay? The bladed stance has a mobility bias. It is geared towards you being mobile, using the feet to cover ground quickly and effectively, so you can use things like, some people call it the pendulum step, we often call it the phased attack in Olympic style boxing, where you can push in and push out. So you jab, 1, 2, yeah? Jab, 1, 2, right? So you've got that straight line movement in and out. You can also work really effectively with little lateral moves, okay, to both sides. And when you do moving laterally, if you want to go that way, the front leg does the work. If you want to go that way, the rear leg does the work. Really good for pivots as well, okay? Pivot there, pushing off the rear foot to go that way and step across and then pivot. So it's really effective. The key thing is it can be used at all ranges, close, medium and long. It's super effective at long range, where you use your straight shots, long hooks, long uppercuts. Okay, that's your bladed stance. Then we have the squared stance. So if that's our bladed stance, the squaring of the stance means that you bring the rear leg out. Now it can be a spectrum all the way from there, up to there, okay? And you can even get fully squared. The more you square, the more you open up your body, right? So in a bladed stance, if you look at the attack surface that you have, what you're seeing is my arm, right? My hands are up in a good position, my chin's down, so there's not much attack surface. If I go into a square stance, you can see the attack surface opens up, right? But the key thing about the squared stance is that it has a power bias, right? Bladed stance, mobility bias. Square stance, power bias. So you sacrifice mobility to be able to generate the power on the hooks and the uppercuts, okay? From there, so your feet go flatter, right? Plant them feet, really whack them shots in. I mean, look at Mike Tyson. He had a bladed stance at long range at times, but he had that ability to cover the ground really well. But once he got into that hooking and uppercut zone, he was there, and he'd be switching all to southpaw, and he'd be letting them hooks and uppercuts go. But when you think about the squared stance, the bladed stance gives you an additional defensive capability in that you can use your feet to defend. You can push away, you can move to the sides, right? When you go into a squared stance, all of your defensive activity has to be on head movement and has to be blocks, okay? So you have to really crank up the amount of head movement you use versus the amount of footwork defense that you use. If you look at someone like Terence Crawford, he uses lots of footwork in his defensive patterns. So he's a real straight line fighter. He doesn't use a lot of head movement, right? But when you look at someone like Tyson, it's all rolls, uppercuts, yeah. So you square off. You sacrifice mobility in favour of power, but you have to use lots of blocks, lots of head movement to help defend against incoming punches. So when it comes to which one to use, square at long range really requires an opponent to be someone who's happy to commit to attacking you, right? You're not mobile at long range if you have a squared stance, and it's going to be very difficult to cover the ground, right? So you need that opponent to be committing to you so that you can be squared up, shoulder feint, use a slip, the opponent's now in hooking range, and you let the shots go, right? So if you're looking to cover ground at long range, bladed stance. So which one is best? Right. Learn the bladed stance as your default setting. If you're at the beginning of your boxing journey, if you are a beginner, learn the bladed stance. It is, I don't like it when people pigeonhole themselves, right? But the bladed stance, so I don't like it when someone goes, oh, I'm short, I look like Mike Tyson, so I'm going to use the squared stance, I'm going to be peekaboo, and I'm going to be like Mike Tyson. I don't like that, right? Be versatile. So learn the bladed stance. That is the gold standard when it comes to certainly Olympic style boxing. And you see now in the pro game with all of the Eastern Europeans, Bivol and Usyk and Lomachenko and all of these guys, very much bladed stance fighters. Yeah? That's because they've carried that through from the amateur game, from the Olympic style game. So learn both, but learn bladed first. It is the one that will give you the most options. You can use bladed at all ranges. You can be an effective fighter at all ranges. The squared stance requires quite a bit more experience to use it effectively. Go bladed, and when you've got to a point where you're comfortable, then you can square up and you can let them hooks and uppercuts go, right? I'm going to stop. Hit like, hit subscribe, leave me a comment. I'd love to hear what you think about this stuff. Which one are you going to choose? Which one are you going to work on to be the best you can possibly be? And don't forget, download your book, The Beginner Boxer Toolkit. I will see you in the next video.